I want to bring in former Director of National Intelligence, also a former prosecutor himself. John Ratcliffe is with us. John, thanks very much for weighing in here. I want to show this Nancy Pelosi tweet because what we've been hearing this morning is all about the equal application of justice. And Nancy Pelosi tweeted that the president will have his chance to prove that he is innocent. She says no one is above the law. Everyone has the right to a trial to prove innocence. Actually, she got slammed for this because that's not the way our system works. Our system is, in fact, innocent until proven guilty. John.
Well, Maria, we saw this 4 years ago. Nancy Pelosi is not the first one to apply this standard to Donald Trump. The first one to do it was the Trump-hating lawyers like Andrew Weissman and Trump-hating federal agents like Peter Strzok that were part of the Mueller investigation, where Bob Mueller admitted 4 years ago that Donald Trump had to conclusively prove his innocence. He was the first person and only person in the history of the Department of Justice to have that standard applied to him. And now you see Nancy Pelosi shows that for the 4 years that she was the speaker from 2018 to 2022, that's the standard she applied. She applied that to deprive Donald Trump of due process during 2 impeachments where he wasn't allowed to have legal counsel, the first president not to have that during the House proceedings. And we've seen it continue over into, the Biden administration and the Department of Justice, Jim Jordan, talking about the disparity in treatment, unequal treatment under the law between President Trump versus President Biden on the classified documents issue. So, this issue, has continued now for years, and what's happening in New York is only sort of the culmination of that, of an assault that has been taking place for, at least 4 or 5 years.
Put your prosecutor hat back on, John, and tell me about this case. I know that there's a statute of limitations that has run up, but what else do you see in terms of the details on this case that the DA is bringing? And by the way, we should point out that nobody has actually seen the indictment. I mean, we haven't seen it. The Trump camp has not seen it. And yet we read in the press that there are 30 counts of fraud. Obviously, they're leaking that.
And that's the point, Maria. The only felony of which we can be certain to come out of this Alvin Bragg prosecution in New York is the felony committed either by DA Bragg himself or someone on the grand jury that he's using for this perversion of our justice system. The accused, Donald Trump, and his lawyers don't know what's in this sealed indictment, but for the past, 72 hours, the American public has been discussing supposedly 30 or 34 felony counts. Leaking grand jury information is a felony, and so the only people capable of that would be Alvin Bragg's team or members of the grand jury itself. So it really sort of underscores the absurdity of what's going on here. And this is, I think, as every legal expert has said, not just an absurd and pathetic legal theory, but clearly unconstitutional. And I appreciated Congressman Stiles' explanation here. Listen, I believe in states' rights under the 10th Amendment, but what the 10th Amendment does not allow is for states to come up with a different interpretation of federal law than the federal government has. And in this case, the federal government, the Department of Justice, has looked at the theory that is being advanced here and has said it is not consistent with the law. The Federal Election Commission has said the same thing.
Well, look, I want to get your take on sort of the talk out there. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is only going to strengthen Trump. I mean, look, he was able to raise $4 million after this indictment just from individuals in a very couple of days. And you look at the polls and you see he is the #1 candidate. We have not heard from Ron DeSantis in terms of whether or not he's running, and that's one thing to watch. But at this point, you've got Trump at the top of the line here in terms of where we are ahead of this presidential election. Talk about the point of how long this takes to play out when we have 4 months away from the first GOP primary debate. That's in August. Then you've got, in 8 or 9 months, the Iowa caucus. I mean, the 2024 presidential season has begun.
Well, Maria, I mean, the point is this is election interference. We don't know how. No one really knows how this is going to play out. We just know that it is going to be a factor. We have crossed the Rubicon from people saying, you know, on the left, President Trump should be indicted, to the discussion is going to be President Trump was indicted. And however long this case takes, and very clearly, it's not going to play out throughout the court system in less than the year that it's going to take, you know, to reach a Republican nominee. And so this action, this political persecution, is going to influence our politics every single day for the next year until a Republican nominee is chosen, and that is, by definition, election interference. This is wholly inappropriate, a complete perversion of our political system, and I think people need to hopefully understand and see what's going on here through these imposter DAs like Alvin Bragg, but this is coast to coast. You know, this is Kim Foxx in Chicago, this is George Gascon in California, this is George Soros funding all of these people, where we've put socialists in charge of the American judicial system. We've put people who don't understand or appreciate or stand up for American values in charge of our legal system to distort it intentionally and deliberately. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is the first, but won't be the last person to be persecuted under that system.
Well, this is a really good point that you're making, because George Soros makes no apology for it. In fact, he wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal just a couple of weeks ago. You're talking about the $40 million that he has donated to get these DAs in place. He says, I've done it transparently. I have no intention of stopping. The funds I provide enable sensible, reform-minded candidates to receive a hearing from the public. Judging by the results, the public likes what it's hearing. I'm not sure which public he's talking to, because these DAs are using bail reform to put criminals back on the street, except if it's Donald Trump.
Maria, they're not DAs. They're imposter DAs. These are political plants. These are people who are only being supported with, $40 million in the case of Alvin Bragg, $1 million from George Soros, only because of a promise that if you're in this position, you will pursue political prosecution of our opponents, those on the right. And that is, again, happening coast to coast, and it's really what's at stake. This should be a clarion call to Americans who otherwise don't tune into politics or don't think that it affects them. It absolutely has. And, the bedrock principles of our justice system are clearly under assault, where, again, we have socialists who are anathema to, American values in charge largely of our judicial system, through these state DAs and prosecutors. And
that op-ed from George Soros was written last summer. So he told us what to expect. Real quick before you go, John, give us the impact of all of this. This abuse is causing damage. Certainly for our national security, we see our adversaries on the march.
Well, China has said they're preparing for war. And, I believe that if someone puts a sign in front of your face, you should read that sign. And, China, Russia, Iran are all getting more aggressive because of what they see is happening here and the undermining of democratic principles and an administration that won't stand up for those and then won't stand up for Americans and American interests abroad. And so we continue to be insulted through incursions, enemies shooting down our military aircraft, assaults on our airspace, spying on us, killing Americans through drugs and through COVID. And there has been zero response from this administration. Our adversaries are advancing around the globe, and our interest in prestige is waning.
Very disturbing as we watch all of these bank records indicate money to the Biden family from China. John Ratcliffe, thank you for weighing in. Former Director of National Intelligence, former prosecutor.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.